We have the 15 kiloton bomb that the US dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. Little boy caused the deaths of around 80,000 people and exposed tens of thousands more to high levels of radiation. It gets worse. The temperature near the blast site in Hiroshima reached 300,000 degrees Celsius. For perspective, that's about 300 times hotter than the temperature bodies are cremated at. Sounds horrifying, right? Well, we're just getting started. In 2017, North Korea detonated a nuclear bomb 16 times more powerful than the one that devastated Hiroshima. The nuke is said to have weighed in around 250 kilotons. Itch. Yeah, here's where things get a little murky. Researchers aren't exactly sure what the power of the bomb was, and North Korea isn't spilling the tea. But they estimate it was between 148 to 328 kilotons. On the other hand, the US intel community estimated it was 140 kilotons. One thing is for sure though, it was felt all around the world. Seriously, this bomb was so intense it caused an earthquake with a magnitude of about 6.3. The sound waves from the explosion were so powerful they were picked up by seismometers worldwide. Up next is one of the most powerful bombs in the US's arsenal, the B-83. This nuke has a yield of around 1.2 megatons of TNT. But what does that mean exactly? Well, let's break it down. You don't need to be a nuclear physicist to know you want to be far away from one of these. Once it hits, it'll create blast waves with a force of about 180 metric tons and wind speeds of 255 kilometers an hour within a 6-kilometer radius. If you were within about a 21-kilometer radius, you'd experience flash blindness. Within an 8-kilometer circle, you'd get third-degree burns, where your body tissue gets blistered and then destroyed. And if you're within a 1-kilometer radius, you'll be hit by blast waves with 720 metric tons of force and winds of 756 kilometers an hour. Medically speaking, it's gonna suck. There are about 650 B-83s in active service, so that's comforting. Next up, Castle Bravo. The biggest nuclear bomb ever tested by the US. It packed a punch of around 15 megatons and caused an explosion 2.5 times more devastating than researchers anticipated. And this was obviously a problem. Yeah, this bomb was 1,000 times more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima. Radioactive debris spread across 18,000 square kilometers, contaminating people on nearby islands and even on a Japanese fishing trawler. This was dubbed the worst radiological disaster in US history, and it caused a massive uproar against nuclear testing. Understandable when you see the staggering 7.2 kilometer wide.
Take a good look, because this is where we're headed. And regardless of whether or not we get a last minute save that scares Donald Trump, like we got the P photos, I'm talking about Putin and the Russians, because they've already said they're standing on the side of Iran. Or if he goes ahead and pushes the envelope anyway, because now he's mad at the fact that they're going to reveal who he really is. And then you look at the people that are making the decision and the average human life. You have to have a bigger picture of your mind else you don't care. At 79 years old, does Donald Trump care about the planet enough to avoid this? I say to you that he doesn't. And there's a lot of people who feel the same way about Putin. And we can arguably say that the number one person in this world that doesn't care about the world is Benjamin Mikowski, aka Netanyahu. Every last one of these men have the whole future of our world in their hands, and they're all moving improperly. The Ukraine situation was prompted and helped by American meddling, and it had been going on for almost 20 years. and you look up Victoria Nuland, you can find out a lot more about that. All right, both the Obama administration, where Biden and his son was on the board of Burisma because they were trying to influence what was taking place underneath Russia's nose, and that pushed the situation to the invasion that took place by Russia. Had the United States not meddled in their affairs, it's likely that that wouldn't happen. And there's people that are going to say otherwise, that Putin is Putin, he's going to do it anyway. But certainly your influence in getting Zelensky as the new president and all the other little machinations that took place. And of course, if you follow the story about Roger Stone and the General Mike, I can't think of his name, but he was under the Trump administration. They were there doing the same thing, trying to influence peddle in the country. And when you push that red line, you're going to get a certain result. That's why we have the Ukrainian war. Netanyahu and the Zionists have been running the government in Israel are psychopathic assholes that don't give a shit. And because they have so much influence through AIPAC and through other machinations in the United States, they are able to push through agendas. And if they have any politicians that don't go for the okie doke, then they run them out of there whenever their re-election comes by flooding them with money. And that's how the beautiful and incredible person, Nina Turner, did not win against some piece of dingleberry dog meat that fell out of somebody's asshole named Chantel Brown. And oh, by the way, the person that the Democrats picked in 2016 over Bernie Sanders was Hillary Clinton. And who did Hillary Clinton push money to in that election? Chantel Brown. And that's because all these people, if you look them up, look up every individual congressman, both Republican and Democrat, they take money from AIPAC. So this is how we are at the spot that we are at right now. It's because of that. And take a good fucking look at it, because you got people on this planet, whether it's John Bolton and all the other neocons, look up the neocons. They are people who always want war on the planet. You have mostly Republicans, but a lot of Democrats that never saw war they didn't like. But when it comes to making sure Social Security and Medicare are taken care of, all of a sudden they don't have the money. But they always have the money for war. We need to wake up as American citizens. We need to wake up as planetary citizens and say, fuck no to this bullshit right here. Else there won't be anything left. There'll be nothing to do. You know, everybody in this whole planet does the same shit. You get up in the morning, you maybe have a breakfast, maybe you have a workout, you go to your job, or you go to your office. What is your fucking purpose on this planet? Well, there's certain people on this planet, all they want is this. And we have to extricate them in every way possible. Extricate them from power, extricate them from decision making, extricate them from making the weapons that will destroy us. We may just have to extricate them altogether, because if we don't, humanity will not survive.
the time. We finally really did it. You maniac! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
Atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs are both nuclear weapons, but they differ in how they explode. Atomic bombs use a chain reaction of the fission of heavy nuclei, while hydrogen bombs use thermonuclear fusion. To launch an atomic bomb, a guided explosion is used to create a critical mass of fissile material. For a hydrogen bomb, a low-power integrated nuclear device triggers an explosive thermonuclear reaction. The power of these bombs is measured in TNT equivalent. For example, the Tsar Bomba, a hydrogen bomb, had a power of 58.6 megatons of TNT. Nuclear weapons are weapons of mass destruction, and their destructive power is incomprehensible. Atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs
I wanted the video to open up with the ending to the original Planet of the Apes, because he suddenly realizes that this spaceship took him into another time on the planet. Maybe he hit some kind of weird time portal. I never read the actual novel of the explanation of what happened, but it's the great Chuck Heston, and I remember being a little kid watching this movie for the first time, and I had this realization. I had to be no more than, I want to say I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, but I already knew what nukes were. We had heard about them in school, and now this was, it had happened. That somebody pressed the button and then everybody else pressed the button. There's something called MAD, Mutually Assured Destruction. So let's just say that somebody now hits Israel with a nuke or several nukes, however they get there. It might be something where it comes in on a shipping container and they're unaware that it's even there, and a massive nuclear explosion that happens, let's say, in the port of Haifa. Now they're going to respond. They want to blame somebody. The first people they're going to blame is, of course, Iran. Even though I'm pretty sure, and I go by these experts that have been following what's going on, I think it's the NIEA or some kind of organization that has been monitoring them for the last 20 years. And of course, you have a big orange Cheeto idiot in Trump who comes in and dismantles one of the few good things that Obama did, because there's a factoid for American presidents. And there's a picture of Obama, of Bush W, and also of Bill Clinton. 2 Democrats and 1 Republican. And in their whole time in office, 11 million people in the Arabic nations have died from war. But of course, the person that's behind that curtain is Mr. Benjamin Mikowski, aka Netanyahu, Ashkenazi Jew that's from Lithuania and Poland. And it's pretty funny to me that they had a vision of building a new country in 1947, and they populated it with people that you wouldn't recognize anything more than just being white Europeans or white Eastern Europeans. And suddenly, there's Sephardic Jewish people that are in their homeland for the first time. And we all know that there's also this whole documents and white paper on Greater Israel, and that's what Netanyahu is trying to achieve using American tax dollars, American blood, American women and children. It doesn't care how much it fucking costs us as long as he achieves the goals that he wants. And the final frame is a giant mushroom cloud, and then the retaliatory things that happen after it. We must fucking stop this shit. If we don't, we're finished.